Your brain and your nervous system perceive your repressed emotional world as a greater predator than your physical pain.
If you suffer with chronic pain, this episode of Heal Thyself is going to change your life. I promise you that. You may not know it, but chronic pain has a nervous system component. And the pain isn't necessarily the problem. It's a way that your body's showing you that there's something deeper in there. Nicole Sachs is a speaker, writer, psychotherapist, retreat leader, and podcaster. And she supported hundreds of thousands of people dedicating her practice to the treatment of chronic pain, anxiety, and other conditions. And her upcoming book, Mind Your Body, gives us the exact steps to connect to what is causing your true pain. When I first moved to California, I was going to work with this chronic pain doctor. And they wanted me, as a naturopathic physician, to give protocols for pain.
Right.
And there are a lot of supplements out there that actually help pain. But I knew that wasn't getting to the root of it, because he was working with the medication part, I was working with the supplement part. And I didn't take the job because something fell off.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what I didn't know. Something fell off. Yeah. But now, as I had gone through the somatic work, I have such a bigger respect for the mind, body, nervous system connection to pain. And I was so excited when a follower had sent me to you. I looked at your page. I know that you've been writing books. You have your podcast. You are the pain person. You are one of the people that everyone goes to for, I have chronic pain and it's not remitting.
Right.
I'm going to start off asking you like this.
Okay.
What % of chronic pain is connected to the mind?
Wow, you really, you jumped in on
We start strong.
Yeah, no, you jumped in on the hardest question there is, and I'll tell you why. Because I always start with the end in mind. And for me, the end in mind is whomever is listening to me in whatever place they hear me is open to the fact that there is a root. And you said that when you said, I didn't want to work with him. He was doing the medication, I was doing the supplements, and I knew it didn't get to the root, okay? So the root of so much that people suffer with has to do with nervous system dysregulation and the brain science behind why we hurt. But because my primary purpose, and with the end in mind, is to get people to open the door and come in and be willing, replace their fear with curiosity, I like to say. I'm always hesitant because I want to be very careful not to shut anyone down. Mm-hmm. So when you say what percentage of chronic pain is from this dysregulation, there's a part of me that wants to say 100%. And the reason why I want to say that is because there's no cure for human pain. Human pain is part of the human condition. Sadly, there's no cure for be fantastic. Mm. If there was a cure for being these big feeling people that are so injured by so much of life, both physically and emotionally. And there is no cure for that, and that's good, because we are here to feel big. We are here to experience this thing that we're doing. But chronic pain is an epidemic of fear and meaning that we put on it, and we continue to dysregulate our nervous systems. And the reason I'm tempted to say all chronic pain has to do with this brain science is because if I cut off your head, you would not be worrying about your knee or your back or your stomach. We all know that. It's not that the pain is in anyone's head. It's that it has to do with complex processes that most people don't understand because we're raised in the Western medical model. We're not taught this. So there's no shame in not understanding it. But once something becomes chronic, which means it surpasses the agreed upon healing period or time period that any doctor would say, you really shouldn't be suffering with this anymore. It's the brain science that takes hold. So the reason I'm tempted to say 100% is because you used the word chronic. Mm-hmm. But I also want everybody who ever hears my voice to know that they are welcome in this work. So you might say, no. I get it, Nicole. You say that chronic pain is an epidemic, this brain science and this fear, but I have a structural abnormality. I have a bulging disc. Right. Or I have a gut abnormality, like a finding in my gut. Or migraines run in my family. My grandmother had them, my mother had them. And I will say, with all the love, because I'm a love bucket, anyone who knows my work knows that, I hear you. I see you. There may be more to the story than you yet know. And it is the door through which so many solutions reside because I've lived it. And that's one of the things I lead with because I have such a severe structural abnormality in my back. I was told at age 19 I would never carry a child or live to 40 without spinal fusion surgery. And I'm 52 and I had 3 babies without incident and I can run 5 miles on the beach on a good day. And I've never had a surgery. So I lead with that to help people understand I am you, I'm with you, and there's solutions that you just might not know about.
Which makes sense, right? Like there is something that is untapped in the medical system, which we're not even looking at because you know how we treat things, that plays a major role. And the fact that we lost touch with this and maybe other cultures are doing it,
right,
or having a deeper connection with what's going on in the mind, connection to the body, it's a shame that we don't even learn it in medical school, right? Not even just like let's lean into this sometimes, or let's learn more about this sometimes.
Or let's even see it as an option, even
let's
slightly.
Yeah. Or even ask the right questions to sort of get a feel. So when we think of pain, and you work with a lot of pain, is that just like, oh, you know, I hurt my ankle and it's not going away? Or is it all types of pain? What types of pain are you working with?
There is such a large number. There is such a wide range of different symptoms that I've worked with over the years. And I've been in this just about 20 years, little over. And so any sort of gut problems. I've worked with IBS, IBD, leaky gut, many things that people think are diagnoses that have legitimate findings, but don't end up being the reason for their pain or discomfort. Migraines, headache disorders of all kinds, lots of neuropathy, fibromyalgia, neck, back, shoulder, knee, hip, bodily pain. Long COVID is a huge one I've been working with for the past couple years. Remarkable recoveries from long COVID. Kind of anything you could consider chronic.
And so it doesn't have to be the physical joint pain or muscle pain. It could be something like gut issues or symptoms of long COVID, like let's say brain fog or something like that.
Yes.
These are all just dysregulations in the body that's happening. Something's going on.
Yes.
So I guess let's indulge the viewers and listeners then. What type of work is missing and what is the type of work that you do?
So basically, the best way I can explain it for someone who's new is what I'm teaching you, you already believe. So I could be lecturing to a room of 1,000 people and I could say, raise your hand if you ever had a stressful day and got a headache. Every hand in the room will go up, right? Obviously. So you see all these hands fly up. And then I say, okay, great. Keep your hand up if that night you ran to the ER for a CT scan because you thought you had a brain tumor. So everyone laughs and everybody's hand goes down. And I said, you see, what I'm teaching you, you already believe. You already know that emotional stimuli, a stressful day, can lead to a physical reaction, a headache. Same for a panic. You're in a panic. You're about to do something really scary and you break out into hives, right? Emotional stimuli, physical reaction. You hear about a comedian. He's about to go on stage and he runs to the bathroom to throw up. You don't think he has a stomach virus. You think he's freaking scared and he's going, So we all know this. And even the most obvious example is what happens when you're really sad or you're really moved or you see, a puppy commercial or something. You cry. Water falls out of your face. Because you are moved. And so once I get people, in, then I say, okay, but here's what happens. Anytime something becomes chronic, whether it's the gut, whether it's the nerves, whether it's the long COVID, the bodily pain, all that understanding of the mind-body connection goes out the window. Because first of all, we're not taught that this is a reasonable explanation for our pain. Second of all, we are scared. When anything is chronic, the first thing we do is assign meaning to it. So I had this headache. It ruined my business trip. And now I'm approaching the next trip. And if I don't go on this trip, I could lose this job. And if I lose this job, I could lose what I need for my family, right? So there's panic. There's real fear there. And what happens is your nervous system goes into fight or flight. as you know, as a doctor, the human body is not meant for long-term fight or flight. Fight or flight is meant for short bursts to get us out of, impossible, unsurvivable situations. But long-term fight or flight is not something that the body knows how to make sense of. And 21st century society is literally an onslaught of predators because there is so much to make us worried or scared or angry.
Yeah.
And it's so unacceptable to express those emotions. So when those emotions build up, I like to teach people that we each have a reservoir of emotions inside of us that are unacceptable. Okay. So like grief. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be bummed out. But after like the third conversation you have with your friends, they don't really want to hear it anymore. Right. Or despair. It's okay to be like, oh God, everything's a drag. It's not okay for people to say I'm in despair. It makes other people uncomfortable. And the same could be said for rage, either for men or women. Men are seen as scary, unacceptable, and they have anger issues. And women are seen as hysterical or like not taken seriously or, shut down. And so these feelings build up. And this is all originally the work of Dr. John Sarno, who is the grandfather of mind-body medicine, who I trained with and was my colleague for many years. And so what happens is when they start to bubble over, all of these dangerous, unacceptable emotions that you don't even know consciously that you have, the extent of them, because you can't possibly feel everything. Human life would end if we had to feel everything we feel. They start knocking on the door of consciousness. They start threatening to inform you of how enraged you are. And that is a place where the nervous system deems you are in danger, mortal danger. And this is what's kind of crazy. And this is what I really do help people understand. Your brain and your nervous system perceive your repressed emotional world as a greater predator than your physical pain.
Can you say that? Can you say it again?
I
Because
know,
you just dropped a bomb on us.
It's a big one. It's a big one. And I know I'm saying a lot of stuff. Your brain and your nervous system perceive your repressed emotional world rising, what I just explained, as a greater predator to your life than your physical pain. And I know I'm talking to a like-minded soul, so I know that you're going to agree with all of this. Pain, as a posture, as a experience, is a protective function of the body, right? Like when you picture the dawn of early man and woman, you cut yourself. Why does it hurt? Because if you don't know to attend to that, you'll become septic and you'll die. You need to attend to yourself. So you're heading out to the family reunion, right? And at the family reunion is going to be Aunt Ethel. And Aunt Ethel always criticizes you. She makes fun of you. She demeans you. She makes you feel like a bad parent. And it just reminds you of the way your mother treated you growing up or the way that bully treated you in school. Now, you're not thinking about any of this. You're just preparing yourself and packing your kids. You get a migraine, a terrible migraine, a blinding migraine. You just can't go. You don't need an excuse. You don't need to make something up. You don't need to disappoint anyone. You're sick. So maybe your partner, maybe the rest of your family leaves, and now you're in bed, alone, in the dark. Now, you don't want to be there, but I call that safe in the unsafest way. Because your brain and your nervous system have just given you a gift where you don't have to be where it deems you can't survive. Because this repressed emotional world cannot take one more thing. And so this is what's happening to all of us, whether it be, I work with people, have worked for many years with people in the most extreme cases. So, people have come to me when they're 10 years bedbound, right? So there are these people. And then it spans the gamut to people who are just like, why isn't life more beautiful than this? Why am I low energy all the time? Why can't I enjoy? And it's all coming from the same place. It's trying to help you. So your body's not against you. A lot of people who come into my work say, my body's against me. And I say, no. Actually, your nervous system is on point. It's working perfectly. But it just leaves you safe in the unsafest way. And so what we need to do is recognize it and do the work to reverse it.
All right, I only love a handful of air purifiers out there. A lot of them are crap, I'm telling you. And that's why I only champion a handful. AirDoctor is one of them. According to the EPA, indoor air can be 2 to 5 times more polluted than outdoor air, and in some cases, up to 100 times worse. I've always been conscious about air quality. I have. Especially me living in LA near a busy road, constant traffic, right? Seasonal allergies, forest fires, and it's something here. But it's everywhere, actually. You live in rural areas, pesticides are an issue. You live in the city, air smog is an issue. You live in the suburbs, that's better than most. But anyway, when I discovered AirDoctor years ago, 2018, it's my first air purifier I actually ever got in my life, and it's a game changer. AirDoctor is one of the air purifiers I have in my home, and I have it in my living room. I have it here in the podcast room. It's an incredible air purifier that filters out 99.99% of dangerous contaminants. And we're talking about pollen, pet dander, dust mites, mold, and even bacteria and viruses. All those can affect your lungs. What I love about AirDoctor is how quiet it is. They have something called a whisper jet fan technology. It's 30% quieter than ordinary air purifiers. I can have one running in my bedroom at night, no problem, and I don't even notice it. So since I've been using AirDoctor, I've noticed significant improvements in my allergies and overall breathing. The air in my home feels nicer, cleaner, and fresher. And I'm sleeping better too. It's amazing how much of a difference clean air can make. Now, if you're thinking about investing in an air purifier, AirDoctor is one of my favorites across the board, and they're offering a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you don't love it, you can send it back for a refund minus shipping. And let me tell you some great news for you, the Heal Thyself listener. AirDoctor is offering an exclusive deal. Go to airdoctorpro.com and use a promo code DRG. And depending on the model you choose, you will receive up to 39% off and up to $300 off. Plus, you get a 3-year warranty with any unit, which is an additional $84 value. To lock in the special offer, go to airdoctorpro.com and use the promo code DRG. That is airdoctorpro.com, promo code DRG. Staying hydrated is something we often overlook, especially in the winter, right? In the summer, we're sweating and drinking and saunas and drinking more water. But between the dry air, indoor heating, and all the winter activities, our bodies need proper hydration now more than ever, right? So I'm always excited to tell you about LMNT. They have the new chocolate medley. It's a game changer. It is what I bring home for the holidays. It's part of my winter wellness routine, even thereafter. I'm gonna tell you about it. Every morning, I make a little warm drink, especially when it's getting colder out here in LA too. A little half stick of chocolate mint. I mix it up. I put a little almond milk. I'll blend it up, froth it up, maybe put a little honey. There I got my morning warm drink. And it's an incredible mocha, but it's beautiful because it's actually supporting my hydration. So LMNT is special because they've managed to create all these delicious flavors, and they're keeping the formula clean and effective. There are no artificial sweeteners, no weird additives, just electrolytes that your body needs so you actually enjoy what you're drinking. So whether you're hitting the slopes or going on winter runs or just trying to stay hydrated, especially when you're going home, traveling home, go with LMNT. Each box of chocolate medley comes with all 3 flavors. It's got the chocolate mint, chocolate chai, and chocolate raspberry. And the thing is, it's a limited time winter release, so you want to get on it as much as you can. And LMNT's in integrity. They stand behind their products. They have a no questions asked refund if you do not like it. And you, the Heal Thyself listener, has an exclusive connection to this. Go to drinklmnt.com/DRG. You get a free sample pack with any purchase. That is drinklmnt.com/DRG. One thing that was really potent when I had you repeat, it was because the fact that most people who are walking around Earth are holding in parts of them that are so repressed, unlovable, and unwitnessable, then it stands to believe that with that line of thinking that people are living in a state where they're constantly in threat of just holding in those parts of them.
Yeah.
They're literally fighting against themselves.
And they don't know it.
And they don't know it.
They don't know it.
And it's manifesting
because you have to live. You have to live your life.
Yeah.
You have to raise your family. You have to go to work. You have to make money. You have to deal with the complex family situation, whatever. Like, we don't have time to feel this stuff. So our body is feeling it for us. And it's not convenient. And we don't want it, but we don't know what's going on.
So the person who manifests, let's say, with a knee pain versus gut versus migraines, is it because they're constitutionally different, genetically different, that it's manifesting in different parts of the body, even if they're all repressing stress or anger or sadness? Or do very specific emotions manifest as very specific pains?
You ask really good questions. Yes to all. Okay, so the one thing I'll say is times where someone comes into my world and I say, well, that makes sense. It makes sense where you're, there was a woman I interviewed once and she had terrible pelvic pain and it was manifesting as all sorts of diagnoses. And it was all around the same place. And when we started talking, she said, well, my grandmother took her own life. And I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And she said, we were so close. She raised me. And I said, yeah. And she said, her pelvic pain was so bad, she couldn't live anymore. And she took her own life. Oh. And now this woman has pelvic pain. So sometimes it's that on point. And then sometimes it has no connection at all. But the truth is, and this is something people learn when they start doing my work, is Dr. Sarno coined this term, the symptom imperative. And what that means is, however this mind-body process is showing up in your body at the moment. So my initial entry point into this work when I was 19 is my back went out. I literally couldn't walk. I had to be carried home from college. And when they did my MRI, they found out that I have a condition, still do, called degenerative spondylolisthesis, which just is, as you know, an abnormality of the lower spine. Apparently I have a very serious case. And so when they saw it and they see that my lower back is out, they go, well, of course, that's why. And so then they started telling me about my surgery options. And, in fairness, I was 19. I was told the surgery could wait. I didn't have to get spinal fusion surgery. It was 1990. So it was quite a while ago. And they were like, this is a serious surgery and it's weeks of downtime. They said, but you're not going to make it if you don't really change the way you live your life. No more exercise, no more travel, very specific sleeping positions. They even went as far as to say I shouldn't ride in the car for more than an hour at a time because of the bouncing motion of the car. They were, it was just a huge injection of fear because they worried if I destabilized my back more, I could be in sort of an emergent situation. So I learn about, this is like a long story that I'm going to make really short, but I learn all about mind-body medicine. Another way to look at this, I work with Dr. Sarno in New York. I do the work, which is one thing I'm sure we're going to get to that I teach. And now I'm out of back pain completely. Still same MRI. I have zero back pain. I end up having 3 babies. I exercise till the day they're born. I go back to grad school. I'm a private practice psychotherapist. Dr. Sarno is referring into my office. I start getting migraines. I don't remember why and where, but they start coming up and then they start coming up more often. And I'm getting ocular migraines, which means I have the aura. And it's really really physical, Doesn't occur to me that this has anything to do with my back pain. Why would it? Doesn't occur to me that anything to do with mind body. But in the meantime, I'm lecturing on the Sarno panel at NYU every month. So I'm lecturing to these rooms of hundreds of people. And we tell our stories and then they're asking us questions for a couple hours. I'm literally on the panel. I'm sitting there. Someone else is speaking. And it occurs to me, are these headaches coming from the same place? I'm sitting here in this mind-body lecture, mind-body world. And I said to Dr. Sarno, what about the migraines? And he says, oh, you're just having the symptom imperative, which means your reservoir is built up. You didn't know maybe, or you haven't been doing like any sort of regular work to get to it. So it's coming out somewhere else because you're not going to believe it. It's not going to work if it comes out in your back. You're just going to be like, oh, no, I know what this is, And so oftentimes what people enter this work with doesn't end up being the end of the story, but it's actually great news because when it starts moving around and you start understanding that everything comes from the same place, and so everything is righted by the same solution, the work to regulate your nervous system and get you from fight or flight to rest and repair, then you realize it's really immaterial where it shows up. But that's not how people feel at first. And I never, ever want to diminish anyone's symptom because your symptom is yours and it is serious as a heart attack because it's keeping you from your life. But once people kind of get into this work and do it, they do understand that it moves around and it could be in a lot of different places.
All right, everyone, I'm thrilled to tell you about a game changer that it makes a big difference in my wellness routine, SiPhox Health. That is SiPhox. If you're like me, you understand the importance of keeping tabs on your health, right? You probably do because you listen to this show. And the real thing behind it is getting regular blood tests. That's a hassle for so many people. Making appointments, go to the labs, waiting for results, interpreting the results, going for the follow-up. It is too much. Guess what? Nowadays, these companies, right? These tech health companies, they're on it. SiPhox is fantastic because it is an at-home blood test and you get a full picture of your health from the comfort of your home. And they're the only ones that offer comprehensive at-home blood testing solutions. So there's no appointment needed, no travel required, just a simple, quick process. You collect the sample, send it off. It's easy. Within days, you're going to get your detailed insights into your health. It is going to go straight to your device. What I really love is how clear and easy to understand the results are. So you're not feeling overwhelmed with all the medical jargon. They make it easy for you, the consumer. And they break down everything for you and personalized assessments and actionable recommendations. Actually makes sense, right? It's like having a roadmap for your health personalized for you right there, right in front of you. Plus, through regular biomarker testing, you can actually keep an eye out on the important health markers that are out there. You can spot potential issues before they become serious. You can see how your lifestyle changes are actually making a difference. And you can even upload your recent blood work for free. And SiPhox will provide detailed insights and explanations to help you understand your results better. It's such a low barrier way to try out the platform. If you're looking to take your health to the next level, SiPhox can create custom supplements tailored to your specific blood work and your goals, helping you stay on track with your health journey. So if you are ready to take control of your health and start optimizing your wellness, head over to SiPhoxHealth.com/healthyself to get 20% off of your first at-home blood test. That is SiPhox.com/healthyself. Check it out. If you love the podcast and you want to be down with the Dr. G Heal Thyself community, we give incredible tips every single week on getting a healthier physical, mental, and emotional body. The newest updates of my favorite products, the newest updates of my favorite practices. Stay in the loop by joining the Dr. G community. All you got to do is go to any one of my posts on Instagram and comment the word news. You'll get a DM to join. This would shake like a doctor who goes into orthopedics right now, right? Because what you're saying is that someone can have back pain and sort of address it, and then it can go as a migraine or a shoulder pain. But regardless, based on Dr. Sarno's work, it's basically saying that, oh, this is your body's way of telling you, you need to stop and look at what's happening inside of you.
Exactly. And I'm going to even say, and I have a lot of friends, I have to first say, I believe in the medical model. I believe in Western medicine. When I have an infection, I take antibiotics. I take my kids to the doctor. It's important that people know that because I never want to be seen as single-minded, or single-focused, or closed to what is really important for everybody to do for themselves. I never want to have someone try to do mind-body work for a tumor. Like, go to the doctor, get checked out. This is just my perspective. Mm-hmm. But having said that, I have a lot of friends who are orthopedists who say, I'm not getting rid of people's pain. You know, I can do the surgery.
Yeah.
I can, perform injections and procedures, and I'm proud of my work. I'm proud of my practice. But I mean, if I'm going to be really honest with you, pain cessation is not guaranteed. And I don't know one orthopedist who will. So it's, even though an orthopedist might not immediately take a shine to what we're talking about, I have partnered with, I want to say thousands at this point, because I've been doing it for so many years, that are grateful for both paradigms, because it's really important for people to understand that this is going on in their body. And the only real question that's important is, how do you feel today?
Yeah.
You know, you want to be out of pain.
Yeah. Is there a known mechanism as to what happens? Is it that the energy of repressed emotions is on the fascial level and it's affecting the nervous system through the fascia into the brain, and it's sending a brain signal back down the nervous system to the fascia and it's tightening up? Do we know it yet?
Yes and no. The first thing that I always say is, even the best, most researched and esteemed places in the world would never propose to know 100% of the human brain. I don't know what percentage we're at in 2024, but like, I remember it used to be like, we understand 6% of the human brain. So the place that this is happening is in our most primitive structures, the brain. So when we are in danger, as you know, as everyone knows, your nervous system will protect you without asking your permission or without asking your opinion. So when you put your hand on a hot stove, You're not like, I don't know, is it hot? Is it too hot? Like you pull it off, right? Same thing, like a car is barreling toward you. You're kind of like not paying attention. You will jump out of the way before you even think to jump out of the way. So this is the same thing. So even though I can't pointedly explain to you exactly the mechanism that's going on in the brain that's causing this, I will tell you it's the same mechanism involving the amygdala and adrenaline and cortisol that will help a mother lift a car off her baby. You know, we know that humans are capable of superpowers when we're in an absolute state of emergency for brief moments. It's the same place that this is coming from. So if you are in a space, and I want to say this kind of pain is about what you don't feel. It's not about what you know you feel. Because when you're prepping to go to this family reunion, you might think, I'm tired and this is a lot today, and the kids are this, but you're not thinking, the depths of my soul cannot take one more criticism from my aunt. Like we're not thinking about it. You're not thinking about that. That's not the way humans function, because we have to function. And so whatever it is that launches you into that fight or flight response, just like pulling your hand from the hot stove, the symptom fires. It fires down into a muscle group, via neuropathy, via wherever, constriction, spasm, inflammation. Inflammation is huge. And as soon as you start attending to the pain and not to the potential emotion that is deemed as a threat to your life, it regulates again. It wants to keep you there, which is why people are in chronic pain for years.
Because they're paying attention to the pain and going, how can I treat this pain without seeing what emotion is under it?
Exactly. And when we go in that direction and when we treat a symptom, we're in control. That's another thing that the human brain hates. It hates uncertainty. So rather than deal with rage or shame or grief that feels incredibly uncertain and complex, going to another doctor's appointment, getting another treatment, that it can handle.
Would you say then pain is a compensation to repressed emotion?
I would say pain is an alternative to repressed emotions.
An alternative. So I can imagine then how pervasive this can be, because someone can go, I have back pain and it's chronic, yet my MRIs look fine, my x-rays look fine, but I don't know why I still have this back pain. But you're saying there can be a subconscious thing that they're not connecting, going, wow, I'm living with someone, for example, who doesn't value me and who doesn't hold the space for me to express my rage. Therefore, literally the conditions and environment that you're in chronically can create that chronic pain.
Yes. And I think when people hear that, if people hear that and say, well, that's really hard to believe, you just have to think about it like this. Your brain and your nervous system have one primary purpose: to keep you alive. There's plenty of purposes that go above and beyond that, but if you're not alive, none of them matter. So if you are at a survival risk, it's going to do anything to keep you safe. So you're here in this relationship, you're feeling unseen and unheard. You have so much rage. If you express it, you are almost scared of yourself. That's possible. Or you're scared of abandonment, which can really run deep depending on people's history. So all of a sudden, you get this zing in your back. All right, first of all, you soften. You ask for help. We don't like asking for help. We don't like being vulnerable, but you have to be, because you're in so much pain. So now this partner with whom you struggle to connect, you guys have a new avenue. You can say, help me. I feel terrible asking for this. And the partner can say, yeah, I'll help you. I won't necessarily listen to you in the ways that trigger me, that butt up against my stuff, but I'm not going to turn you down when you're suffering. So now these people are meeting on a new level. Like if you really think about it logically, there's so many ways it makes sense that then your nervous system goes, oh, I see. Your hand's off the hot stove now. You've got something that is manageable. You are softening on yourself. You're asking for help. You're connecting with your partner. Things are okay here, and they will leave you chronically there. And the thing that people don't understand that I really seek to enlighten them of is the things you think you can't feel, or the things you unconsciously think you can't feel. Because I'm sure people would be like, no, I'll feel it. I'll feel it. It takes a little work to get there. Is that you can consciously feel these things and you will not die. The pain signals stop firing. And it would be really great if I could just say this, it would be a theory. Let's say like we did some research and we thought this was a really interesting idea. But for over 20 years, I have been walking beside people who are completely symptom-free from the most extreme conditions. People who were on disability for 10 years, who are now back at work full time. Like the human stories, and I write about them and I share about them on my podcast, write about them in my book. They are stunning. And that's the stuff that gets people lit up. Like you can hear me and I can be like, oh, well, that's interesting. But when people hear the stories, that's when they really buy in.
Of course, they're seeing themselves and everyone. Then I have a question.
Yes.
Because talking to you has my brain gears going really fast. You know?
Yeah. I love it.
Then can it be possible that someone is in chronic pain because they want attention from a loved one?
Want is the troublesome word in that sentence. Nobody is looking for attention. Okay, so you give me another great opening to say, you are not hysterical. You are not overly sensitive. You are not making it up. You're not creating it, and it's not your fault. Nor is it in your head. It is as real. All chronic pain that I deal with is as real as if you severed your limb. There are people that are in so much pain they truly cannot walk. So none of this, and your muscles are spasming, and you are inflamed. Your body might even look inflamed. All of this is happening, but the question is, why? Why is the brain sending these signals? If you sever your limb, you are going to have pain, but not because your limb is giving you pain, because your brain is giving you pain. The signals from your nerves and muscles have gone up to your brain, and your brain says, danger, danger, and it's sending the signal of pain. So it shows up exactly the same, just the question is what is the genesis? And so when we're dealing with this, it's so important to remember that, because it's like, otherwise you may think that you want, or you might misunderstand it to mean that you want attention. Now, what I would say is if we could take the word want and just hold that kind of gently, who's in there, right? Who is suffering? When you were 8, did you have like maybe a really emotionally unavailable mom? And when you were at school and you were feeling really unsafe or bereft or having separation anxiety, and she wouldn't hear that. But when you threw up or when you got a migraine, she would pick you up and bring you home and put you in her bed. Sure, you want attention, but it's not like that. You know what I mean? It's like a much deeper place in you that is craving something that is so unconscious and so complex and so human and so lovely, but you don't have access to it. All you have access to is the pain and then what it allows you to get. But that's not attention you want, right? Like nobody really wants that kind of attention because it sucks.
If you say, would you trade or would you want this pain in order to get this attention? Most people would be like, I don't want to go through that.
Right.
I'd rather see another avenue. So you're saying that it can be so subconscious that we don't even know that this is a manifestation of that. It's beyond us even saying, oh, I want this pain to get attention from someone, because it's not conscious.
No, definitely not. And I would say now that we've kind of like unpacked it, you do not want attention.
Right.
It's just there's a deeper part of you that you're not acquainted with yet that is screaming for help. But because you don't know how to hear it, it's screaming through your back or your knee or your head or wherever.
So maybe it's screaming for your attention.
It is. Yeah.
Just for our attention.
Yeah.
Shoot, man, this is incredible stuff. I mean, like it's beautiful because I believe in it wholeheartedly. And it's so in alignment with the things that I do, except I don't work with that. I don't see it from the lens of chronic pain. I just see it from the lens of emotions that are repressed, and we slowly over time liberate them, and people just feel better.
Right.
but in the context of all of this, it's just, we speak the same language. I just love the way that you speak it, because it's really like very aligned in what I see. And I remember, and you'll appreciate this man who actually I still talk to, this was 3 years ago, came in and he had chronic lower back pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a pain expert. I know the body, but I'm not a pain expert. And a few years ago, I gave him a nice supplement protocol for that and seen some inflammatory markers maybe go down a little bit, but the pain would have still been there. Now, this man abandoned his, not purposely, but wasn't in the country when his mom was sick.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought she had more time before she died.
Okay.
But she died. And he wasn't in the country. So he rushed back. And ever since then, he had this lower back pain that manifested. This was when he was in college.
Yeah.
This man was 50 something.
Yeah.
He's got like a 25-year-old daughter now.
Yeah.
So time has passed. And then it was on his second visit that we were doing this practice that I had created just intuitively. And oh my God, what came out of his back was this deep guilt, because he realized what was in there when we were there.
This is what I do.
He said, okay, amazing. We do the same thing. It's amazing. And but hearing this man's tears, it was like he was drowning in his lungs.
Yes.
He was bubbling in this sadness.
Yeah.
It was literally like he was underwater. He was like,
and think about why his back and his, let's just call it his nervous system, his brain, because the back's just the place it's being expressed.
It's just a place.
Think about why his lovely body was saving him from that. Because most people, I mean, he obviously felt very safe with you, would be humiliated, would rather die than sob to the point where they're gurgling and drowning in it. And like, but that's why we are being helped by our most incredible, miraculous human bodies that can see what is, quote, safer for us. But it's a lifestyle we don't choose. We don't want to be chronically ill. And so we do what needs to be done to feel it, to connect it with the symptom, and the pain signals stop firing.
It went away.
Yeah.
I'm not
surprised.
You're not surprised, but it was like
amazing. Yeah.
It was so beautiful to see, because that was like that was one of the first like chronic pain, like physical pain.
Yeah.
And like musculoskeletal pain that who came to me, and I was like, oh shoot, wait a minute. There's something more to this.
Yeah.
Why didn't we learn this in school? And then my finger went up in the air, and I was like, I was really behind that. And that's when I learned a little bit about Dr. Sarno's work. And I'm so happy that the follower, and shout out to you if you're listening, had sent me to you. Now, if something is exclusively manifesting on the left or right side of the body, does that mean anything to you?
You know, yes and no, only in that, I'll tell you what the most important thing about that is. So often people, let's call it, have a right side shoulder pain. So they go and get an MRI and they're like, I knew it. I have arthritis in my shoulder. Okay. Maybe they get a surgery. Maybe they're just doing injections or treatments. They start to learn about my work. They're like, I don't know. It sounds a little weird. It sounds hippy dippy. I'm like, no, it's brain science. They're like, okay, fine. So they start maybe doing some of my practices. And then they call me a couple weeks later and they go, you're not going to believe it, which is really funny. How many people tell me I'm not going to believe it, because I'm always like, yes, I will. They're like, it's showing up in my other shoulder. And that is great news from my perspective, because as soon as you have it on the run, it will help your brain settle into the belief that there's nothing structurally wrong with you. Even though you have a finding, that's what Dr. Sarno called a normal abnormality. So I do have a finding. I still have a finding. I have spondylolisthesis. It was never the reason for my pain. I have no back pain. I haven't for 20 years, even though I was full on debilitated. And so, yeah, the body looks different on the inside, just like we all look different on the outside. It's not the reason for your pain. And so when it does shift from left to right, it does tend to help people along.
Yeah, because we can really fixate. I've had this pain. Imagine if the guy was doing at-home practices before he came and saw me or something. He had this lower back pain and then it just moved to his middle back.
Yes.
He's like, whoa, like, okay, I guess structurally I don't have to keep having anxiety that there's something wrong with me. Listen, I got back pain.
All right, let's talk about it.
Listen, I turned 40 and I have just got this pain.
Just
out of
a wee
nowhere.
baby, you
Just
are.
a wee baby. No. I in my head, I'm like, and I'm doing this as a practice for people listening, as an example. In my head, maybe I have biomechanical compensations where my right side has more pressure on it. But I know since high school, if I squat, any injuries on the right side, middle back, still right side, middle back. And just recently I was loading up, I'm talking about last weekend, loading up massage tables into a car, and my back went out. But it went out like, I can't breathe.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah, I've been there.
This was actually the worst. And I found myself like that night, I was like laying on my mat, PMF mat, and just relaxing, and I couldn't get up. It was so hard to get up.
Yep.
I felt like an old man. I had my girlfriend lift me up like an old man.
That's the way.
If someone comes to you and says, hey, it's been happening in high school, it's when I work out, or it's like when I throw a pitch, it's when it's all these things that are including a movement-based thing, would you even say that that's still a connection to something, or could it just be just you throwing it out because you have poor biomechanics? Do
you mind if I answer the question personally rather than that general question you asked me after?
I'm fully open.
Okay. Well, you don't have to tell me anything. Okay, I'm just going to tell you.
Okay.
And then you can tell me whatever you want.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So I, Dr. G, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened to you. And I'm going to tell you that I'm sure. I'm 100% sure. And I don't need to know you to know this, because what happened to you is so ordinary in my work that when you see something, 100,000 times, you can be pretty sure. Here's what happened. You were in high school and there was a sensation of this back pain, even if it was much less acute than what happened last week, and it got your attention. Now, I don't know what was going on for you. You might not even know what was going on for you, but whatever was going on for you at the time, and I'm just going to speculate, was a combination of nature, meaning what kind of a thinker, what kind of a sensitive guy, what kind of a worrier you were, hormonally, you're going through the changes of becoming a man, and situational, right? Whatever's going on with your parents, whatever's going on with your friends, your girlfriend, your money, your grades. You're in high school. Got your attention, creates a neural pathway. And that neural pathway is, this is a thing with me. This is a thing that's wrong with me. This is a thing that gets my attention, whatever it is. It's all very quick and unconscious, but it creates a neural pathway that connects you with an understanding that this is one of your things. And you become a person who has this thing. You're a guy that maybe has like a bad back. I'm not going to say you would labeled yourself that, but it could be. So your nervous system makes that connection and says, okay, I see. That's a place that we can use if we need it. That's a place we can get his attention, because remember, the whole purpose of this whole process I'm describing is to, quote, save you from that which is deemed unsurvivable. And this is a pathway that was built. Now you go through life. Throughout life, there are times that it gets your attention. What immediately happens is what you just described, which is you start, and you're a doctor, so like you have all sorts of medical knowledge to pull from. Am I compensating? Is it this? Is it that? You have an intellectual conversation that can go on. Once again, diverting you, saving you. It's a really safe space because you have an education around it. It can be a conversation that could happen over dinner with anyone. It's not vulnerable. Saves you. Maybe even just the conversation and the mental kind of, however that manifests is enough to get your attention. Now, I don't know what's going on with you right now, and you don't necessarily even need to identify it as a particularly stressful time in your life, but I can promise you this. This invisible reservoir inside of you that every human has, that is filled, I promise you, with rage and shame and grief and despair and all the unacceptable feelings that we all bank, hit maximum density last week. It so happened you were lifting massage tables. It could also happen that you were reaching for a plate in a cabinet, or picking up a Lego that a kid dropped, because trust me, I hear the most bizarre moments of acute incident. But usually it's something that you will, quote, believe because this whole intricate brain process that we just talked about, that no one understands 100% of it, is working in perfect harmony to save you, just like it does when you pull your hand off a hot stove. So your back went out. Now, immediately, two things happened, and I'm only taking it from what you've given me. First is that I don't know how much trouble you have with asking for help or being vulnerable as just like a man in general, but whatever you're asking of your girlfriend might not be what you would ask her on a regular Wednesday afternoon. Help me, be with me, be gentler with me than you might. Help me be gentler with myself than I might. You know, I don't know you at all, but I'm just kind of laying it out. Whatever it did for you, it worked. Now, if you were to have already come over to the dark side and been in my world, what you would have said when that went down is, whoosh, okay, I guess I haven't been attending to whatever I need to attend to. I guess I built up to maximum density, happens to the best of us. Okay, hobble over, take a deep breath, do whatever makes you feel better in the moment, which is, hot bath, anti-inflammatories, whatever. I'm not against medication unless it's an addictive medication. And then you would sit down to the tool that I teach people, which is called Journal Speak. And I teach people a very targeted, expressive writing technique that helps them go right into their emotional reservoir and begin to put a ladle in and dump it out. It might take you 2 or 3 days. First of all, you're in spasm. So it is a physical manifestation. It needs a minute. Maybe you need a muscle relaxer, whatever people do. But within a few days, you'd be like, I know what this is. You would not go into fear. You would not go into meaning. You would not connect to, this is my thing. This is, what's wrong with me. There would be none of that. You wouldn't have to intellectualize about what's going on, with the left, right, and center of your body. And it would go. And you would no longer have that pain.
Wow. It hit for sure. I want to let you know first and foremost that it definitely hit. It's funny, it just hit me the day before I journaled and I said, I want to learn how to ask for help more.
Wow.
I'll show you the entry when we go downstairs.
Oh my God. Well,
and it's the first time I journaled in about a year.
Wow.
And do you know why?
I just got chills.
Yeah, it was at a retreat. It was my retreat that I threw last to train people. And we got journals as part of our gift bags.
Yeah.
So I walk in my room, I go, oh, there's a nice journal. And I go, maybe I'll journal. I haven't done it in a long time.
Right.
It's literally the first entry is I want to be able to ask for help more. And it just hit me that I threw out my back the next day. It was the next day.
My friend.
It's incredible.
How gorgeous is your nervous system? How incredible is this physical body we live in where it's always out to help and protect us? It's just confused and misguided because that's not the help we really want. But when we understand this incredible dance that is always happening under the cover of darkness between our brain, our nervous system, and our physical body, then you have everything you need to live a life free of chronic pain, which is why I said at the top of our conversation that I do believe 100% of chronic pain is this, because this incident that happened last week would never become chronic. It would be a moment of pain, right? It would be a moment of suffering, and it would be something that you ended up attending to, but it would never be something you would classify as chronic because it wouldn't be.
But it's been here for so long.
Well, because you haven't met me yet.
But I haven't met you.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I said high school, and I remember in 7th grade playing rec basketball, I threw it out. And that was the first time when I was in 7th grade, Catholic school basketball. And it's been part of my story is that, sometimes I throw my back out.
Yeah.
It happened in football in high school. It happens. It's a thing. When I squat
it's
sometimes,
one of your things.
It's funny. We had created identities around it.
Yeah.
So, but it's not just for physical back pain. It could be something like you said, long COVID, like someone like a brain fog.
Yes.
So, but brain fog isn't it's not a spasm, or is it?
It's inflammation.
It's inflammation. So you would take the same approach and say someone suffering with persistent brain fog, let's say from long COVID, would be the entry point. You're saying?
Yes.
For the system saying, hey, I have your attention. There's something going on.
So let's look at long COVID for a moment because it's actually really unique, but it's a very clear example of this process. Yeah. So COVID hits. It's funny. I spoke at a conference last month it's like a whole, it's called the PPDA Association, and it's all physicians and clinicians and alternative practitioners from all over the world come and come together once a year. And I spoke on long COVID. And the reason I spoke on long COVID is because particularly in my practice, I have attracted people with incredibly severe long COVID from around the world. And the reason I have is because there was a girl in Holland, I think in her early 30s, who had a very mild COVID infection at the top of the pandemic, like maybe in March, and didn't get even that sick, came down with severe long COVID, so severe that she was completely bedbound, wasn't able to bathe for months, had to give herself like a sponge bath. She didn't have the energy to stand in a shower. She said if she walked from her bed to her kitchen to make a cup of tea, it was like she had to rest for 2 hours, like extreme long COVID. And she had heard, and this is like also random about like the world of the internet and how connected we've all become. She heard some Dutch influencer talking about my podcast. I have never met this person, and heard something like many people will hear in our conversation today that just sparked a little curiosity. It was like a little pinprick of light came in, and she thought, okay, maybe what Nicole is talking about with this mind-body connection is the reason for my long COVID. Ended up doing my work. Once again, I never met her because I have a lot of stuff online that people do on their own. Got so completely better that she was interviewed on my podcast.
Oh, cool.
And then people from all over the world started saying, wait a second, maybe I don't need to have this long COVID. So I've had a lot of people kind of contact me and say that it's like they've had these incredible recovery stories. So I ended up having that be the topic I spoke on. And the reason I'm bringing it up about COVID is that COVID was a universal experience of utter terror.
Yeah.
Most of us living today have never lived through a pandemic. It happens. It blows the doors off of all our expectations of human life. Like, wait, I can't go to the grocery store. My kids can't go to school, like crazy. And unpredictable. Young people are dying. Maybe not at the extent that the older people are, but like you'll hear these stories, you know, you're on the phone with your friend. Oh my God, did you hear so-and-so? He's 40 and he was like a triathlete and he got COVID. He's in the hospital. He's dead. You know, there's that. And then like all the craziness of like, there's no hospital beds left in Italy. Like everybody knows these stories, right? New York City is like on fire. So not only is there terror and panic, there's shame. If you got COVID toward the beginning, you were so untouchable. I didn't get it until like about, I think a year and a half into the pandemic. But like people who got it at the beginning were like, I remember it was just like, it was completely awful. So now you have all this fear banked in your nervous system, in your body. You're already up to here, right? With all the fight or flight and all the crazy emotions that it's stoking up. And so as soon as long COVID gets into the press, as soon as the symptoms and all of the things that are happening, we have now created a global state of human terror about getting it. So a lot of people who got long COVID said to me, once they've already done my work and gotten rid of it, immediately upon being diagnosed with COVID, I started worrying, am I going to get long COVID? So all of this is important to understand because we're not doing it. We're not creating the problem, but we need to understand that unless we pause and understand the difference between acute illness and chronic illness, we're putting our nervous systems in a really problematic state in order to get sick.
I see. And we don't. The acute becomes the chronic.
Yes.
And a lot of the time that bridge is not us purposefully.
No.
But it happens through us.
It happens through the unconscious processes where the brain and the nervous system take the baton and say, it looks like she needs help and it looks like she doesn't know how to get that help. We got you. And there's another thing that I think might be helpful that you might appreciate. One of my colleagues was the one who brought up this analogy, but I do believe it is really on point. When there's a fire in a building, the fire alarm goes off. So the fire alarm alerts the fire station that they need to send a crew. The firemen and women arrive and they see, let's be really on the nose, the large red fire alarm spinning and throwing off light and throwing off noise on the roof of the building, right? And of course, the fire is inside the building. When you have chronic symptoms, running after those symptoms with doctors, with Dr. Google, with any sort of alternative practices, with diet changes, with supplements even.
Yeah, for sure.
Is like taking the fire hose and dousing the alarm. Dousing it and dousing it and dousing it, this plastic, impenetrable alarm. The fire is inside. If we would turn the hoses toward the fire, well, what happens to the alarm? As soon as the fire's out, the alarm is automatically triggered to stop ringing. So if the alarm, in the case of long COVID, since we're talking about it, is brain fog, shortness of breath, chest pain, anxiety, aphasia, which some people have, which is so scary, chronic fatigue, migraines. Okay, so I just picked like a subset of symptoms. That's the alarm. They're screaming. They're going off. So the fire company gets there and you start treating the migraines, treating the brain fog, taking a supplement, going to different practitioners. Well, the alarm can't stop because the alarm is directly connected to the fire. Now, let's say you took those hoses and turned within. Why am I terrified? Why am I so full of grief? Why am I so full of rage? I can't even stand it. You deal with that. You put out that fire, or at least you calm it to the point where it's not dangerous. Well, there's nothing, you don't have to turn the alarm off. The alarm is only going because of the fire. That's why the pain signals stop firing when you do the work.
I see.
Did I say that well
no,
enough?
No, you did, of course. Yeah.
I definitely think that's a good one to get people to understand.
But because I know people addicted to going to the next doctor or looking for the next solution or paying thousands of dollars for the next machine in their room, you know,
and who could blame them?
Yeah, because they're desperately looking for it.
They don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
I've been there.
We're desperate.
I have been that person.
Yeah, so these people living in pain or even any other symptoms that are not musculoskeletal pain are desperate.
Yeah.
You know, when I got sick with mold, which was a few years ago, it was very difficult for me. I threw away everything I owned. And the state of, the brain fog that I had, the lack of short-term memory was really scary. The vision issues I had, the fatigue, they were all, and I was chasing. You have no idea. And it's funny because for better or for worse, being a doctor or having that load of information makes it really easy to intellectualize everything. Because I'm like, oh, well, actually, if I go through here and I go through here, right? Like, and the truth of the matter is it's a never ending cycle, when especially when you have that amount of information.
Yeah.
And I want to speak about this as a last part because it's not just me. I've seen many people who have been stricken with mold and it's real and it's in their home and they breathe it in and it's in their test and they've remediated it. But for some reason, including me, this was part of my story, but I have many friends here, especially even when I talk about mold on Instagram, they'll be like, oh my God, I had mold years ago, but still anytime I'm around something, it triggers.
Yeah.
And I get all my symptoms back, even there's no real detectable mold. Is their alarm system just never calmed down? Do they have a reservoir inside there that was never addressed? And maybe those are the alarm systems that are coming on. Should they be more resilient or can they be more resilient when they walk into those rooms? And I'm telling you that is, at least in Venice here, and I know you live in Mar Vista, in Venice, it is the biggest health problem right now in health and wellness is people are getting sick with mold and all the accompanying symptoms. And I always think to myself, is there stuff going on? Is there a fire and we're just looking at the alarm?
Yes. I'm going to say definitively yes. I've worked with many, many people. And when I say many people, I just need you to understand how many. Because I stopped being in private practice in 2018 and have had a total focus on putting things online that people could do to heal themselves. There's so many thousands and thousands and thousands of people I've heard from. So I just need people to understand this is not a 1 or 10 or 30, number of people that I know this to be true. Mold toxicity is the same as any acute injury, meaning it's real, you're not making it up, it's not in your head, it's what it is, right? So let's say you're living in your house, you have a high degree of mold, you test positive, you remediate. similar to any muscle pull, anything. And I'm going to say, when I say similar to anything, you could blow out your knee, meaning you could need reconstructive surgery, and so get it. But once you're done with the surgery and your surgeon says, okay, healing time, normal medically agreed upon healing time is over, you should not have pain in that knee anymore. Same with the mold. Once you get it out of your system, you do the right things. I'm not an expert on mold. I don't know what you need to do, but whatever that is, you should not be having symptoms anymore. So now we move into this world of the mind-body system and the chronic whatever, fill in the blank. Now the answer is exactly the same. So what I'll say is this: similar to 7th grade and whatever it did for you, whatever that moment did for you with that back pain to save you. Maybe you didn't think you were good enough at basketball.
That's
and it
exactly
gave
what it was,
you,
actually.
all right,
That's what it was.
there it is. You didn't think you were good enough at basketball, and it gave you an excuse not to think of yourself as a failure. Whatever it did for you in that moment, it created a neural pathway, which we just discussed. In the moment that you got that mold toxicity, it created a neural pathway. Now, that's not good or bad. That's just what is. That's what happens when we have consciousness of something being wrong with us. So it just becomes a tender point. So now it's been remediated. Like, let's say, hopefully, because I know this isn't always the case, your symptoms go away. But it's there. That neural pathway is there. It created fear. It created anger because, oh my God, you had to pay for this shit to be taken out of your home. It created resentment. It created stress between you and your partner, blah, 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 blah. It created what it created. So you have a lot of feelings attached to it that your nervous system is maybe not flying off the handle about, but it's got its finger on that. It's got its eyes on that. It's like, that was one, okay? Yeah. Now what happens? You go into a place where either you perceive or you are told or you think might have mold in it, and you start getting all your symptoms. It's the same exact thing as you lifting the massage tables into the cart. There's no difference. It's just that your reservoir is up to here, so it's going to pick the place that's going to most quickly and successfully divert you from that which you don't know you have to feel. So that's why when people are doing a regular journal speak practice, when they understand the stuff I teach and they lower their reservoir, what's going to happen is you're going to go into the place, you're going to smell the smell or be told that, the mold might have been there. And you're just going to be like, oh, all right, well, I'll keep an eye. You won't get the symptoms. The alarm won't roll unless you're up to here and it needs to do that for you.
I see. So the people who are still having hypersensitivity, who I speak to, and they're like, hey man, there's no mold in my system. We remediated the house, but for some reason, every time I pass this smell in the closet.
It's just their symptom imperative.
It's their symptom imperative. That's fascinating.
And I want to, it's funny. You obviously hear in my sharing that I'm so sensitive to the way people receive this. I know how horrible it is to live with chronic illness. I really do. I have worked with so many people. I have lived it myself. So I'm not minimizing how awful and inconvenient and upsetting it is that every time you smell the closet, I'm just saying, and this is when people are in my communities and they know where I'm coming from, they'd never take it personally, that those symptoms when you walk past that closet are just boring. They're just, I'm like, oh, I'm so bored by your symptoms, I'm going to fall asleep. And the reason why everyone laughs when they're in my community is because they know what I'm saying is you're normal. Yeah. You're normal. It's just a neural pathway you've developed. No worries. We don't have to get hysterical about it. Let's pause. Let's get back to the work. Let's look at the fire instead of the alarm. You're going to be fine.
It's incredible. It's incredible work. And I love that. I love that it's not just, because I was expecting to only talk about musculoskeletal, but the fact that it goes past it. It's the whole body as an alarm system and or creating a neural pathway for a reason, which then gives us a lot of reverence for the body's intelligence.
It's a literal miracle.
Because not a mistake. Yeah.
No. Your body is working in perfect harmony. Yeah. You just don't know what's wrong. I often say, and I write, something is amiss. You just don't know what it is.
Something is amiss.
You think it's this, but it's really this.
Okay. There's people right now who are going, oh my God, this resonated with me. Where do they find you?
Well, I guess at this moment, the most exciting thing for me is I just wrote a book and it's going to come out on February 4th. You can obviously pre-order it prior to that. And the reason it's so exciting for me is because I do have a podcast and I want to say that. And I do have a website and I want to say that. And I do online courses and I teach live retreats. The reason the book is so especially exciting for me is all these years, and I have written another book before, but this book that I'm writing now is a whole new level. I've always said, oh, you have this, listen to this episode of the podcast. Or,
I do that all the time.
Yeah. Do this, do that.
Yeah.
But what I just completed is one thing that has 20 years of best practices in it from the beginning to the end. Every single thing you will need to know to heal, and stories from people all over the world with all different conditions, and every way you're going to face resistance, like everything you would need to know is in this book. So the first thing I would say is if you want to do this work for yourself, go pre-order or purchase Mind Your Body, which is my new book, or go to my website, NicoleSachs.com, where everything I have, all my online courses, my podcast is there, and you can search. So you can go on my podcast tab on my website and you can say, I want to learn about long COVID. I want to learn about fibromyalgia. I want to learn about chronic fatigue, and it'll show you which episode. So that's like a really cool
that's great.
New thing. If you're a practitioner and you are looking to bring this work into your practice, Christina Sarno, Dr. Sarno's daughter, and I and my partner Lisa wrote a practitioner training called the Sarno-Sachs Solution. Takes you through this entire thing. You get 18.75 CEs, which those of us in the world of needing CEs.
Oh, I can use that.
Yep. Like you need to get the CEs. Click on the Heal Yourself tab. You'll see the Sarno-Sachs Solution, or you can go to sarnosachs.com. I have lived this for so many years that I just have a wealth of information out there. Look, the podcast is called The Cure for Chronic Pain. I have a YouTube channel of the same name. Like learn. Give yourself the gift of being curious, because there are so many things that you might not yet know that can just change your life.
Yeah. And like you said about the Dutch woman, you said a pinprick of light.
Yes.
If this podcast can offer that, or they go on to all of these resources you have, just notice how your body feels. If you go, ooh, wait, this is really something I'm attracted to, listen to that and follow that intuition, because it might be exactly what people listening and viewing need in that moment and for the future as they go on their healing journey and go through this process.
Yeah. And you know what? I think some people, when they first hear about this, are skeptical or scared or resistant. And what I say to people is just replace your resistance with curiosity. You don't have to replace your resistance with belief. Like, you don't have to believe what I'm saying, but are you willing to be curious? Are the stakes high enough that you could just be curious? Because there's nothing I love more than when I find out someone else knows something that I don't. Yeah. Like, it's the place of limitless possibilities. If I don't know something and there might be something to learn. So I just say, this is your life. What's it worth? Take a chance.
Hey, listen, viewers, listeners, go check out the website. What's the name of the book?
The book is called Mind Your Body.
Mind Your Body is coming out in February. We can pre-order it. You can
pre-order it now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, anywhere, your independent bookstore. You can pre-order the book now. It'll be at your doorstep on February 4th. And those who pre-order prior to February 4th, I'm having a couple free events where I'm going to host, it's going to called Mind Your Body Con at the end of February. I'm going to preside over a virtual book club, taking people through every chapter and really diving deep. And so that's only available as a special gift for pre-order. So pre-orders.
Go pre-order it right now. I am telling you, get on the pre-order, because I have a feeling it's going to sell out. So get on the pre-order list and then get on the conference, dive deep. If this is something you're looking for, which I know a lot of you, here's a solution. I got to thank you. What a wonderful conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. It is such a pleasure to speak to someone who so gets it and really wants this kind of information out there.
I get it. I feel so lit up right now, man. I could throw this mic across the room in happiness. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
All right.